feminine is
Mm,
always in that moment when you relax, right?
mm,
Every time you slow down. That's for men, it's the same. So every time you
mm,
slow down and relax and just be, right? You have more fun, of course. Food tastes better because you're not in a
mm,
rush. The vacation is even better when you relax, right? And all of those things. And like, I mean, first of all, I let the man design the connection. So I'm
mm.
not.
I wanna be a billionaire. I ain't getting no sleep till I see a milli every week. I wanna be a billionaire. I ain't getting no sleep till I see a billy every week. I wanna be a billionaire. Billionaire. I wanna be a billionaire. Billionaire. I wanna be a billionaire. I ain't getting no sleep till I see a billy every week. I wanna be a
Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of Sleep is for Billionaires, the podcast. I am your host, Johnny Vegas. Now today, I have a very special guest on my show, ladies and gentlemen, so take some notes. This is a VIP femininity coach by the name of Dr. Christina Jerger. How you doing today?
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you and nice to talk to you today. I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time and thank you for joining me on my show. And I was looking forward to this conversation because this seems to be a hot topic across America, when it comes to femininity and, masculinity and, the gender roles and things of that nature, so I definitely wanted to break that down and how you got into this, how you help people and what signs do you look for to kind of identify how you can help someone. So, we can start from the beginning. What got you into wanting to take this as a profession full time?
Good question. In the beginning, it was actually my own story, right? So I was very masculine. I had a corporate career and I worked so hard. I hustled so hard and I still couldn't have come to my achievements, right? I had a relationship, but also was like a very feminine guy and I was like not fulfilled in all of my areas. So in the end, let's face it, I had a burnout. It was just too much. And I was like, okay, I need to change something. I don't know what it is. Is it the job? Is it like the corporate career kind of thing? Is it my living situation? I was living back then in Germany, which I always wanted to leave. Or is it the relationship? What is it, right? I didn't know. And then I was like, okay, Christina, just escape. Just do like a complete reset. So I quit the career. I left this boyfriend. We've been together for 7 years. So it was like, marriage now or just leave. So I left him. I sold all of my belongings and I booked a one-way ticket to Bali, to Indonesia, to whatever. I didn't know, right? I had no idea what to do, what else. And then I was like, okay, just do it. And then I started working with coaches to figure out what caused the burnout or what made me feel like I have to hustle so hard or made me feel like I cannot stop and relax, right? And then we talked about femininity and masculinity and how everything, the yin and the yang and the energies you have and having both together is actually the key to successful life, right? So you work hard, but you also relax. And what I did was working hard, but not relaxing, right? Makes sense. So, then I decided, okay, I know so many women who have the same issues, whether it's the burnout tendencies or not finding the right man, right? It's just something we experience daily. And this is okay, I need to help them. And then I completely changed my profession from the corporate career as a market researcher to being, a coach and helping women to not make the same mistakes.
Gotcha. No, thank you for elaborating on that. And I can see how being very career driven can just put you in a masculine state of mind because you're just solely focusing on work and making money and paying bills and, taking care of the responsibilities, which, in a, traditional household is usually the man's responsibilities, right? So I can see how that can put you in that frame of mind and that may affect, your current relationship, depending on what the roles are, what the responsibilities are in that relationship. If you're the breadwinner, so to speak, I can see how, and the other person is not, and he just happens to be a man, right? I can see how the roles could seem reversed, and then you can kind of be the man in that relationship, so to speak. Not to take too deep of a dive into your personal life, but was that the situation you were kind of dealing with?
What do you mean that the relationship? Yeah, that's there's also a reason why a woman cannot relax, right? And why the women nowadays feel like they have to hustle so hard to make it work because we cannot rely on a man. It's not a given thing that we might find someone who provides for us, right? So that we feel like, oh my God, we have to make it work. And then you come into this like perfectionism and you want to have more. And then you also maybe like become this hyper independent woman, right? And then you find a nice man, but you're not able to let him lead. Right? And that's the thing, like to be so good on your own that you say, okay, of course he can pay my restaurant bill, right? Of course he can open the door for me. I'm just I think that's something we experience in society nowadays, right? So that women are not able to let a man do it. They don't allow him to do it. Yeah.
You know what? And I can see that happening, you know, because it's like, although you want to allow him to do it, or he should be, first of all, man shouldn't be in no position to be allowed to do anything. But under certain circumstances, I can see that if he is unable to do those things, then you kind of have to step up in that sense. You know what I'm saying? It's just a situation, unfortunately, but you know, hey, it happens sometimes. Okay. So when you actually book clients, right? Like, what type of pre-qualifications questions do you kind of ask these clients to identify if you could help them, or, you know, to identify if they're in a masculine state versus a feminine state?
So that there are different like symptoms, right? Or different struggles they experience, which all lead to the same femininity, masculinity issue. So let's say they like overwork themselves, like the burnout tendency, then I can know, okay, there's something going on. Or they have struggles with the dating situation because they come on so strong and they're not allowing a man to help them. That's the second thing. Or some women don't get pregnant, right? It comes down to not feeling good with your own self as a woman. And for me, I figured it's, not a woman maybe in her early 20s, maybe more of a woman in her 30s, 40s, 50s, who's like having this career and who experienced a lot, right? So that's what I usually go for. And they're like very ambitious. They have their own companies. They're like executives, management positions, usually everywhere where it's like needed to hustle hard. That's usually the typical client for me.
Now, when it comes to a client making the transition from masculine to feminine, right? Like, do you find that to be a difficult task for them? You know, because some women that I've known who are in their masculine and, you know, are hard workers and career driven and just, you know, like bosses of Fortune 500 companies, right? They're kind of set in their ways, in their mindset, right? So for them to kind of transition into that feminine side, like, how difficult is it? Well, have you experienced it being difficult for them to make that transition when they're that high up in, you know, in the corporate world, you would say?
So I mean,
you know, in the corporate world, you would say?
So I mean, it's kind of an ego death, right? Because you define yourself being this career woman, like this bod spade badge you're wearing, right? And it comes with like, you have to have the next achievement. If you don't have it, people look weird, you know? What is happening with her? Now she's going on vacation. That's not what we want. You know what I mean? So it requires certain kind of new prioritization in your life so that you make yourself a priority. Like the feminine is always in that moment when you relax, right? Every time you slow down. That's for men, it's the same. So every time you slow down and relax and just be, right? You have more fun, of course. Food tastes better because you're not in a rush. The vacation is even better when you relax, right? And all of those things. And like those women are not allowing themselves to relax because they feel they're missing out. They feel like they are not like as competitive enough. And I think this is like the typical American society. You want to have the best achievements. And that's why you have to go through. You have to realize, okay, relaxing is nothing bad. Relaxing is the moment you recharge to become even stronger, right? With your business or with your work or your career, because you are recharged. You have more energy left. And that's what it's a mindset shift, but also you need to establish new habits, right? To make it work, a moment to relax, to schedule it even in your calendar, right? Not to skip the next lunch or not to skip the next vacation or the nail appointment or whatever feels good for you. You just have to do it. And that's like something you have to change, right? It's an ego death kind of thing.
I love it. Great answer. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. So you seem like, you know, a businesswoman at the top of your game. Not sure if you're in a relationship or not, but how do you balance your masculine and feminine? Because I'm sure being an entrepreneur like you are, you know, you have to kind of keep that masculine, you know, state of mind, you know, in that sense when it comes to business, right? So how do you balance that out in your personal life?
First of all, yeah, that's good. So first of all, like being masculine is needed sometimes, right? Because the masculine gives you the structure. It gives you your purpose, right? It's just like how you thrive in life in some way. So that's what I use for my business too. Like setting up appointments with you right now, or like, you know, organizing my days or structuring, or like working with my business partners, whatever. That's I'm usually in the masculine part of myself. And the feminine is everything that I do in between, when I'm creative or when I create a new program, or even when I'm coaching. I feel like more the creative part, and that's also more the feminine side. So for me, it's like how the days look like, right? So that I also structure that, but give myself and the feminine part space, so that I'm not skipping my lunch. I think that's one of the most easiest way to do it. Or when I need relaxing, then I just shut down my laptop at like 5 p.m. if I don't want to, right? So these moments when I make time for just being, right? Just having a good time.
Gotcha. Okay, so it sounds like you got to figure it out in that sense. So that's cool. Okay, so now, how do you typically acquire these clients, right? Do they just, you know, find you and say, listen, I need help balancing my masculine and feminine, or what does that process look like?
So, I mean, it's usually, I meet them in person most of the time. So I go to networking events, right? And then I see them, I see how they act. I can see how they approach me when they talk with me. So what happens usually with like a woman who's like very in her hyper masculine and independent space, like when we talk and speak, I can see it in her eyes. It's something very different. Like if there are emotions, then she's more in her feminine, right? If we talk about like her business and it's very tough and strong, then I feel okay, she's more stuck into that area. Then we start maybe talking about dating, we're talking about men, whatever, like things that come up, right? When girls talk. And then I also figure out how she approaches that, and I can see, okay, there's something. And then I'm just, you know, dropping my thoughts, and maybe she needs help. Sometimes she's ready. I help also women who are not ready yet, but that's okay, you know.
Gotcha. Okay. So when you have a client, right, what is the journey look like? What does the journey look like when it comes to when you first starting with them to when the session, not the session, but when the program ends, right? Like, is it like a 2-month thing, a 3-month thing, or just an everlasting thing? Like, what does that look like?
I mean, first of all, like it's always a journey, right? So you just plant some seeds in a coaching session, and then they have to do the work. Because like female embodiment, which I call it, like practicing really to feel more feminine, it happens like 24/7, right? The moment you wake up, right? If you're in the boardroom or if in your private life, you have to do the work. So what I usually do is like a coaching session, like 1 hour, for example, to figure out what is going on. So what is causing this struggle to not be or not allowing yourself to feel feminine, right? It can be a limiting belief, it can be a pattern, it can be whatever society you are listening to, right? There's different things. So we have to figure that out first. And for me, it's not only the talking is nice and we need to do that, but I need to make them practice the things. So what I do is like embodiment techniques I use, which means we do sensual eating. We need to activate their senses again, right? Everything the feminine, the intuition, we need to get that out again, because when they're in the masculine, in the head, they stop doing it. So sensual eating is a good technique, blindfolding, screaming, like liberating, you know, they need to get out of whatever they got stuck in. So that's what I do. What I prefer doing, I have to say, is like coaching them in person, because then I can sit next to them. We're gonna scream together, right? We're gonna, you know, sensual eating. We can do that together. We can go to nice places in LA. It doesn't matter, right? I coach early in the mornings if you like to, 6 a.m. at the beach, right? Or we coach 9 p.m. at the rooftop bar, and you can just approach the next man if you want to. So, you know, that's the thing. It's like, it's happened every time. Yeah.
Okay, well that's good to hear. Do you have any literature out on your practices? When I say literature, I mean like, are you an author as well? Do you have books out? Because I think, you know, this type of I don't want to call it psychology, but I guess this type of method of execution to, increase the femininity in women. I think, if you put out a book, I think that'll be helpful as well, because, I think with that you can capture more people as opposed to just one-on-one sessions all the time. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I have thought about it. It's already in progress. So because I feel this topic in general requires sometimes a little bit of explanation, right? It's so easy said than done. Yeah, just be feminine. Or do you want to be feminine? It's like, it's more to that and affects so many areas of your life. And I have like so many stories now from my clients, how this shows up if you're in misalignment with your feminine. So I was thinking about also sharing like success stories. This like a little, it's like literally like whole stories, like from the beginning, how they showed up in my life and started to work with me. And in the end, oh my God, like they have relationships, they're pregnant, they have like the most successful careers without even burning out, So there's a lot of things. And yeah, I'm just figuring out what can come into that book and what people would want to read. And for now, if people want to get it, I'm sharing a lot of on LinkedIn as well. So I have a newsletter there where I share like also little success stories or little struggles they have and what, exercise I would recommend, because everyone can do it, but they just have to do it.
Right. No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Yeah, I think putting out a book would definitely increase your success level. Even speaking engagements, I'm not sure if you have anything like that lined up, but I think that'll be good for you as well. And then even videos like this, like you and I speaking, and different Q&As, just for people to take a deeper dive before actually getting a session on who you are and what you can contribute to their lives, and releasing that content as much as possible, and maybe putting some marketing dollars behind it as well. And I think all of that combined, will help build awareness for what you're looking to do. If you don't have these things in place already, I'm just thinking outside the box here, because I like what you're doing. I think it's needed in our community in a sense where, you have a lot of, this is the age where I see, women wanting to take the power back, right? And I think there's a misconception in a sense where they think taking the power back means they have to be strong all the time. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes there has to be a fine balance, especially when you're in a relationship, because for a man, that could be a turnoff, right? When you're like in your masculine all the time, and I'm talking about when you're with a man, like not just somebody who's trying to figure it out. Like when you're with two men, well, a man thinking, a woman thinking she's a man with a man who is a man.
Yeah, I mean, two men dating. Can be an option, but you know what I mean, yeah.
Right. But I think that can be a major conflict in the household when it comes to, who are we going to let lead, when we both are natural born leaders and we both are good at it, right? So with that being said, what type of man do you think can bring out the femininity in a woman? And I really want you to take a deep dive and really classify these characteristics in a man, right? Because some men, just because they're 40 years old, they may not be a man, right? They could be still figuring it out.
Has nothing to do with the age, right?
Exactly, right? So definitely elaborate on that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I love it. And I mean, first of all, the woman has to be feminine herself, right? Because otherwise the man, no matter what he does, it will not work, right? Because you will like fight against it, and we have two men or two lions, let's say. We don't want that. So the lion needs a lioness, right? So that she backs down the moment he shows up. And the way he shows up actually defines the whole connection. Like his energy he emanates, like the way he shows up. I think it's more of like also his confidence in the way he has his shit together, right? His finances, his life, his lifestyle, all those things that make him a confident leader. And also the awareness of what leading means, right? Like leading in a healthy way. So it's not like, oh my God, now I'm taking the lead, so let me book this restaurant and this because I like it. No, this is not healthy leadership. Healthy leadership is also taking her expectations into consideration, right? And then leading from that place to, make this connection a better connection, if this makes sense. So like a man who's like so grounded that he even would pay for a stranger's coffee, right? It's his finances. It's also like the way he provides, as seeing this as his mission in life, right? Being open and ready to provide and protect a person because he's aware of his power, right?
Mm.
And that's exactly when the woman, oh my God, I have to back down. And this is something healthy. I want to do it, because the woman just not backs down because just a man appears, right? It has to
Mm.
be a certain kind of energy and a certain kind of, yeah, I would say confidence and this behavior of a lion, if this makes sense. Like, of course you back down because you see what this man has to offer.
Gotcha. No, yeah, you just dropped the jewel, and I hope all you men or men
Mhm.
boys or boy mans or whatever you call those things are paying really close attention to what women are looking for, because it's funny.
Mhm.
I was following this Instagram channel. I think it's called Girls Gone Bible, and it just
Okay,
kind
no, I
of.
don't.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna send you some videos. Yeah, and it's this woman, and she just kind of breaks down the characteristics of, how a woman is supposed to be in a biblical sense, right? And the stories that the Bible shares about women, and when it comes to femininity and being submissive to your man, but also she has a conversation with other women about it. And then there was an interesting conversation where the person she was speaking with was elaborating on she has no problem submitting to her man as long as she's confident in what he can do to lead her life, right? And that's why I wanted to ask the question I asked before in regards to what characteristics will allow a woman to be
Yeah.
submissive and be feminine, right? Because obviously she has to trust that you're able to lead her life. You know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like with fathers and daughters. They trust that their dad's gonna take care of them because his dad's been, right. They trust that he's the protector because he has been doing it, right. So it's almost like leading by example in that sense for the man.
Yeah,
Mhm.
true. And I have to add, so it's like this feeling, like when you have this real masculine man who can take the lead, it's like you relax in an instant moment, right? You relax in his presence because he takes care of the things. So I'm not talking about those guys who are just going hot and cold the whole time. This is like creating safety, you know what I mean? So a woman would never open up to this kind of man. So he's like consistent. He takes like consistent actions that also show that he knows what he's doing, right? And then you can relax as a woman in his presence and feel good, right? And then you do it, of course.
Gotcha. Exactly. Oh man. Well, this is great. I think this is gonna give people a lot of clarity. A lot of men a lot of clarity, especially when it comes to not making their woman submissive, but having a woman allow herself to be submissive to you and what you have to do in order to accomplish that goal and get to that highest level together. You know what I'm saying? So I think this conversations like this are definitely needed in our culture for sure. Now, how? Let me ask you this: how is your personal relationships with men going for you? If you don't mind answering the question.
Yeah, of course. I'm just, having a look at my past. I remember the story with my boyfriend at that time. He was very passive, and also from a place of like he didn't know what he was doing, right? So seeing that now is like, oh my God, like the moment I meet someone, I can really feel okay. Right? Is this like a man who's like grounded enough, who's ready? Because I'm, at the moment I'm dating too. And I'm also looking only for a relationship, right? And that's for me like the most fulfilling thing I can have, like a relationship with a masculine man where you have this polarity going on, where you can grow together. And that's what I'm looking for, right? So now when I'm dating, I'm looking exactly at those things I just described, right? How do you make me feel, right? Are you interested? How do you show up? What do you provide? Can I see it? Can I feel it? Is that good? Then I'm going with you. Next step, right? If not, I'm not, right? So that's what I'm, taking very good care of, that I'm making the right decisions because I don't want to waste my time, to be honest. And I see this in this dating culture where no one wants to commit and keep everything open. That's nothing for me, right? I'm just looking for the real deal. I want to have a deep connection. And also don't want to waste my time for something that is not. When we're not on the same page, I don't want to waste my time. Yeah.
You know what? And I can appreciate that, when it comes to coming to the table in the dating world, knowing what you want. But I also, to counter that, I feel like, there's a certain level of, time you have to put in to actually get to know someone, to even identify if you can take them serious in a relationship or they're just a friend, right?
Yeah.
So how much time do you typically allow when it comes to getting to know someone? Because, you know, like, as you just said, you come to the dating world knowing what you want, knowing what you're looking for, right? You're looking for these qualities, but at the same time, I feel like it's hard to identify in the first couple interactions. You really gotta, you know, take your time in that sense, right? And unfortunately, sometimes we reach a point where we feel like we may have wasted time because we got to know this person for 3 months and come to find out it's just not gonna work, right? How much time do you allow to get to know someone to identify if this is a perfect match?
I mean, first of all, I let the man design the connection. So I'm not taking a lead in any of those things, right? Let's say I meet someone out there, just in person, right? I just meet someone. Then I can see how he creates the connection. How often does he reach out? What kind of questions does he ask? Does he give me a phone call or just text, right? So that's like the way I can see, and I let him completely do that, right? So I step back and I observe, and if I feel like, okay, this is something that is in alignment with my values, I let him also tell me like what this is about, right? This is what I said, like a man who's like masculine lets you know what this is about, right? And he lets him let you know like what is the intention with this connection. So I really go back and take this step back and just observe what he's doing, what he's creating, where is he taking me, what questions does he ask, right? And then I'm saying, okay, this is something, you know, when he's not reaching out to me in a frequency I like or in a way he speaks with me, right? Then it's okay, that's maybe a friendship or something else. If he speaks in a way that I like it, right? Okay, maybe we can go the next step and could become something, a serious dating thing, right? Does it make sense?
That makes perfect sense, you know, and I wish you the best of luck in that journey, because I know it could be a little bit difficult, you know, finding, you know, the right one and really taking that step and really trying to build a empire and a foundation with another human being, and them having those same values and that same alignment when it comes to, you know, just growing together and being committed to one person only, you know what I'm saying? So I know that can be a challenge within itself. So I wish you the best of luck on that. You know, so yeah, I actually been with my fiance 8 years, engaged for 6, and yeah, you know, we you know, it hasn't been the smoothest journey, but nevertheless always been inclining, and you know, the good definitely outweighs the bad by far. So you know, I have no regrets there, and I think, you know, we definitely took our time, not necessarily getting to know each other after the fact, you know, because we kind of just jumped into a relationship, right? But then as we traveled across country together and lived together, argued together, got over things together, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I think, you know, it built a bond. It strengthened our bond in a sense where, you know, we kind of know each other, right? We took the time to get to know each other, and now, we're kind of complementing each other when it comes to building what we're looking to build. So, you know, I could appreciate what you're trying to do as well.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And still, you know, you get to know each other, like even after 10 years. There will be something new, right? Or a new behavior, a new pattern you discover, and that's beautiful.
Yeah, I definitely think keeping it spicy and entertaining and refreshing is the key, you know, and never stop dating. You know what I'm saying? Never stop dating. Always, you know, go out, have fun. You know, I definitely, you know, am an advocate for having fun in the relationship, because I feel once the fun goes away, everything else goes with it. You know what I'm saying? So that's my take on that. But yeah, Dr. Christina Jerger, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for joining me today on my podcast. You know, and if there's any advice you can give to a man or a woman or both, I would love for you to share that at this moment. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much for having me. So I would say be just authentic. Be just you, right? And also, work on yourself before you start a relationship, right? Work on yourself and become a beautiful human being. I think this is whatever is out there you can learn from, just do it and improve yourself. And so you make other people happy too. Yeah.
Beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Sleep is for Billionaires, the podcast. I am your host, Johnny Vegas, Dr. Christina Jerger. Stay tuned for more episodes to come. Stay tuned for her book. Stay tuned for her speaking engagements. Stay tuned for everything she got going on. Let the people know where they can follow you, please.
You want me to tell now, right? So you can follow me on Instagram. On Instagram, it's I am Dr. Christina. I'm on LinkedIn as well with my full name, and I also have a YouTube show. If you want to see more of my coaching, it's also I'm Dr. Christina on YouTube, so you can find my channel there and have a look at it.
Awesome. Well, yeah, make sure you check out our channel. I look forward to speaking with you as well. If I have some friends that need help, I'll definitely send them your way.
Send them to me.
Once again, of course. Once again, this is another episode of Sleep is for Billionaires, the podcast. Johnny Vegas. Shout out to Dr. Christina Jerger. Stay tuned for more episodes to come, and thank you for watching.